Hi, welcome back to another Terranscapes video. The title of this video is not about the Innsmouth project. It is about the, it is about the Terranscapes project. As the Terranscapes project on YouTube, my channel, my videos are coming to an end. This will be the last video that I shoot, and I promised you I would shoot a last video, and I never shot the last video and like put it in the storage in case I got hit by a bus, right? Tanya could upload it. And I guess I'm lucky that I'm able to shoot the last video, because I've sometimes worried like, oh my God, I haven't shot it yet. And what if I got hit by a bus? So I feel grateful that I'm able to shoot this video. I was only going to do one take on it, and then I noticed that I hadn't turned on the mic 3/4 of the way through this video. So this is take two, but only because of a technical issue on the mic, which is somewhat fitting, I think, because there have been many, many videos where I have had some technical issues, and they happen even right up until the end. So I wasn't going to script it, but I did put together some notes to remind me of things to say, because I'm sure I would forget many of them without notes. And let's see. The video's a little difficult to shoot, I won't lie to you. I've been on YouTube for 11 years, and it has been an absolutely fantastic experience. I've been able to contribute to the hobby in a lot of ways that I think were significant. And I know I've inspired some channels to actually start up. And I've been able to, give feedback to other people who are pursuing the hobby. And notes. And I've learned a lot. I have learned so much by being a part of this community, of your community, ours, we're all in it together, in terms of not just about, making terrain and not about, making videos, although I sometimes, wonder if what I'll do with all those video skills. So I don't know. We'll see in the future. But really, it's given me a lot to learn as a person, and some of the things I've learned about being part of a community, of being the sort of, part of the face of the community and sharing in that manner. And it's been, I think, a personal growth journey, and that's been really, really valuable. And I want to make sure that you understand that I have way more positive, memories and experiences and views on my years on YouTube than I do negative. There's a vast, vast difference between those two. So don't think I'm leaving on some kind of a bitter note, or some kind of, fuck it, I don't want to be here anymore. That's not really it at all. So that's important to state, I think, because I used to teach middle school science, and a lot of people would ask me, what was that like, and why did you stop? And, it's easy to point out the reasons why you want to end something. But I always would make sure that I explain first all of the rewards that I got from it, because the experience was super rewarding, even though it was something that I didn't want to pursue, into the long term. So a couple reflections on that. One of the things that happens for me, and this happens in all of the different areas of my life, I do tons of different hobbies. I pick up things, I try them out. I do, different activities, I'm a busy guy. I do a lot of different things. And the reward versus effort ratio is what dictates whether I continue it or not. Initially, I'm getting a very big reward compared to the effort that I'm putting in. And over time, that ratio starts to change. And when it tips, and I'm putting in a lot of effort for not a lot more reward, I'm not gaining a lot, for instance, then it feels like it's time to move on to something else. And so YouTube has kind of become that for me. And that ratio has tipped, and it feels like it's time to move on to something else. So it's not a rare event in my life by any means. It's actually, excuse me, it's actually indicative of the way I handle most of the activities that I've engaged in my life. So don't think this is something that is unique. So how do I reflect on that going forward in my life? And one of the things that I was thinking about as I've been sort of boxing some stuff up and throwing away quite a bit of things and doing some cleaning, and I was looking, at the bench and thinking, what happens to all of that? I mean, I have an impressive array of materials and tools, and I'm like, is that all going to go away? And I realized it took me a couple weeks really of reflecting on this, thinking about this video and what it means. And it made me remember when I used to game, and I originally started playing Warhammer Fantasy back in, I don't even know what year, but it was 5th edition, I think. And I played that for years. And then once it shifted to Age of Sigmar, I moved over to Kings of War, part of a little gaming club. And when I was painting miniatures to get ready for, events or to expand my army, I would come down and I would paint for an hour each night, usually in the winter. I'd get a little busy in the summer. And it was really nice. I would sort of, kind of hunker down a little bit, dim some of the basement lights a little bit, and have like soft lighting on the bench, and put a little podcast on, and have a beer in my e-cig, and just, kind of just like, I'm just going to spend an hour or two painting. And that is the best way to complete an army, by the way, or probably anything, right? An hour a night. That's all it takes, an hour a night, and be consistent with that. And that was really nice. And it occurred to me that that's where I think I'm going to go with this, is that I really want to keep working on the Innsmouth project. I look at the minis that I have up on the shelf that are going to be the passengers, and I'm like, I can't wait to work on them. So I'm still excited. So that was kind of a big relief. I'm like, okay. It's not like I'm like, I don't want to look at this stuff anymore. It's like, no, but I want to look at it a little bit differently. And I still want to participate in it and have it be something that's relaxed and calm and quiet, and something that's just for me, and has a more, I don't know how to describe it, but I don't know, have a more intimate relationship with it. I think that's probably a good way to describe it. So I will still be in the hobby, and that was kind of a relief for me. So I was glad to kind of come to that realization, do that exploring over the last couple weeks, and think about, what is going on around here. I do have a lot of video gear, though. I'm going to have to unload somewhere. So I'll be putting up things on eBay. So not scripted, but some notes. Excuse me. I will be maintaining the channel, however. I do not want the channel to just vaporize. And I have to just check to see what YouTube thinks is enough activity to not retire the channel. And just to make sure whatever that is, that I'm doing it, because I want these videos to stay up as a resource, as something people in the future can visit and learn from, and maybe be inspired by, or be entertained. And if you are from the future, hi, welcome. Thank you for joining my channel. Don't subscribe, though, because there aren't going to be any more videos. But it's nice to know that even people in the future are here. So I'm going to do my best to maintain the channel and keep it active, so that these videos always stay available for as long as I can. Hopefully it's not onerous, but I suspect it's going to be something easy and something maybe I enjoy doing. So hopefully you are here from 8 years into the future, so I know that I still had the channel up that long. Wait a minute. I promised myself I wouldn't reshoot this, and then I had to because of the mic. Water, not a cocktail. I will miss cocktails and comments. I thought about doing a cocktail channel, and one of the things I want to do is I want to maybe move away from being public. I think that's a part of it as well. I've been public in my life for quite some time. When I was a teacher, I consider that being very public. I was on city council in my town for 2 terms, and that's very public. And YouTube is obviously ultra public. And I think that's partly one of the things I'd like to retire and kind of step away from the limelight a little bit for a while. I don't know if I'll always be away, but I think for now I will be for a little bit here. But before I go, I want to thank all of my viewers. I want to thank you. You have made the channel. Without you, there would be no channel. And when Tanya and I host a party and people come and they, on their way out the door, they're like, oh, thank you so much. I was so, I had such a good time. And I like to think we throw pretty good parties. And they were, saying like, oh, I'm so glad that you did this. And I always reply like, thank you for coming, because if you didn't come, it wouldn't be a party. It would just be Tanya and I, drinking beers in the corner. So, the guests are what make the party. And the viewers are what make the channel. And I think I have some of the nicest viewers that you could have on YouTube. You've been inspirational and encouraging to me. You've been you provided such wonderful constructive criticism. So many people were nervous about suggesting things. I'm like, I love to hear what you think could be better. That's how I learn. So you've taught me things over time, and you've shared with me your enjoyment of my videos, and that has made me so happy. And so I just want to thank you for being here, especially those of you who have been here for years. I know some of you have been here for a long time. I don't know if you were here from the very first video, but you've been here for 8 years maybe or more. I know there's some of you out there, and it's just been wonderful to have you along for the ride. So I wanted to make sure that you know that I appreciate you being here with me for all of these years. 11 years. That's a long time. Thinking, reading, notes, process. Oh, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything about the viewers. Because my last thank you is for my patrons. And it is impossible for me to describe how much you have meant to me. What an important part you have been in keeping this channel going and motivating me, but also, your financial support. I don't want to disregard as being, non-zero. It's been important. It has made a big difference, but I've always felt like Patreon was a little bit more intimate, and I was making a little bit more of a connection with some of you, and was also a bit of a confessional, so I could put up things that I don't normally share on YouTube about how things are going, my personal reflections on it, or my goals, or, that sort of thing. And it's been so valuable to have you there and to know that you're there sort of in my corner, rooting for me. And like I said, I couldn't even begin to really describe how much it has meant to me. So I just want you to know so much that I appreciate it. And I'm going to put up a last post so I can give you kind of a personal thank you before I shut down Patreon. But Patreon will shut down shortly, and then all my videos that say, "Hey, support me on Patreon," people will be like, "What happened?" But I got to shut it down. No, I think that's mostly it, actually. So I have a mixed bag of emotions about it. I'm sort of sad to leave this facet of my life, but I'm also glad to leave it. It's a it feels like it's time. I think that's the best way to describe it. And and I'll always be here. And you will always be in my heart. You have been such a part of my life for so long. And it's something I won't forget. So it's meant a lot to me. So, like I said, a little sad, a little glad. Time to move on. Effort, reward, ratio, tipping, tip, time. So, there's no next video. So, I can't hope that you'll come back soon. But if you, hopefully, you will stay in the hobby yourselves, and you'll push yourselves to try new things and to push yourself to the boundary of what you think you can do. And that's something I've always done in my world, and it's something I've hoped that I've conveyed in my channel over the years. And I think some people are always hesitant to try something new because they're nervous that they'll fail or that they won't do it well enough, or, you know, don't compare yourself to other people. It's hard not to. It's very hard. I do a lot of work to not do that, and still it is hard. And I always say the risk is, right, there's always somebody above you. It doesn't matter how good you are. There's always somebody above you. But there's also people who are below you, right? And so you're good where you're at, and just push yourself just a little bit, and you'll always learn. And I think that's where some of the enjoyment from the hobby comes from. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if I do come back in some form, it will be a different form. But if I don't come back, then that's okay. And thank you for joining me. And perhaps I'll see you sometime in the future. It's hard to envision that I'll never see you again. But thanks. And I'll sign off now.